You're listening to Her Confidence Her Way podcast, episode 128. Hello, girlfriends. How are you doing today? Thank you so very much for listening to Her Confidence Her Way podcast. I am your host, Emiko Rasmussen. 皆さんこんにちは。Her Confidence Her Way podcast ホストのエミコです。今日もこのポッドキャストを聞いてくれてどうもありがとうございます。As usual, I really want to say thank you so much for you guys to tuning in and listening to this podcast. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I also want to say thank you for those who have participated for my questions on Instagram. I have asked a question about what are the topics that you want to listen, and I have received your questions, so I am going to start answering through this podcast, or I may do that on IG story, so we'll see which one works for you. But yes, I'm always accepting your questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can DM me through Instagram, or you can send me an email, herconfidenceherway@gmail.com, or you can send me through Facebook, whatever works for you. Alright, let's do a listener shout out. Today's listener shout out goes to Mayumi-san です。I want to say thank you so much for sending me lots of hearts, and I may have more than one Mayumi, I think for her IG account is Mayumi_, I think it was MK, and she is also a part of a Her Confidence Her Way community, and she joined the vision board workshop and she created her vision board as well. So it's so cool, and I just want to say that I am so thankful that there are people out there who are supporting me and sharing some struggles with me and all those things. So thank you. And Mayumi as well. It is so nice to have you in the group, and I am happy that I get to know you as well. Alright, let's move on to today's guest. Today's guest is someone who, oh my goodness, she is definitely my soul sister. Let me introduce her. Her name is Hinako, and we actually had an opportunity to meet in person when she was visiting in San Diego. She reached out to me, and I was like, heck yes, please. So I made some time to meet her, and it was so much fun. We talked a lot, and I got to hear her personal story, and she inspired me in so many ways. We met up at this cafe called 85 Degree Bakery Cafe. I want to say this is only for California, but I could be wrong. It is a Taiwanese, originated from like Taiwan, and it is a Taiwanese bakery, and they have amazing coffee, tea, cakes, and bread. And if you are Japanese, I am pretty sure you will love this place, because those sweet breads like kashipan, they have very similar styles, and then of course like the sweets too. I know many of people, Japanese women, they kind of say like, I do love sweets, but the American cake's a little bit too heavy. But these cakes that they sell at 85 Degree Bakery, it is very similar to the Japanese style, so you will definitely love it if you like sugar. And I know some of you guys who participated on the vision board, some of you guys put like less sugar or healthy eating. So I know I'm not helping, but I love sweets too. And I also need to control my craving. So I know we gotta all work, right? But sometimes we can also enjoy. It's okay, I think. I don't know. I'm not a health expert. So yeah, if that would make you happy, and if it's a little bit of just a little amount, I think it's okay. But yeah, if you want to know more about the health, reach out to someone who is very expert on that. Anyways, going back to Hinako. Yes, so I got to meet with her, and oh my goodness, we have talked a lot in this episode as well during the interviews, and I felt like I can talk to her forever. During this conversation, we talked about the importance of a community building, why it is important to have a supportive relationship rather than having frenemies, which I talked about it in my newsletter as well. And we also discussed how even if we are Japanese, we are all Japanese women, or there are people who are listening and who are not Japanese yet, but you can put it to you, whatever the term. But even if we're Japanese, we are all different. We can't, I don't fit into this Japanese woman, like very common stereotypical Japanese woman, and I don't even know what the stereotypical is. But yeah, you'll hear that in the conversation as well. And we also talked about sisterhood. Before we move on to our conversation, let's take a quick ad break. This episode is sponsored by my private coaching program. I take on a limited number of clients each month. I help you to get clear on what the next career move is, whether to start building an online business or to set your ideal career path to level up your career. もっと人生の目標を見つけて真剣に自分の人生を生きたい。どうせ私なんかじゃ無理と自分を制限して本当にやりたいことの一歩が踏み出せない。子育てをしながら働きたいと思うけどどのように両立できるか自信がないと思っているあなた。I am here for you to work privately. もしもグループで自信の悩みをシェアするには抵抗があったり、グループでのコーチングを受ける勇気がなかったり、プライベートでどうしても会話がしたい。I get it. I hear you. もしもそのように思っているあなた、2時間のプライベートセッションでもっと充実した日々を過ごせるワークライフを実現しましょう。詳細は www.herconfidenceherway.com and click on Work with me. Alright, please enjoy my conversation with Hinako. Hi, Hinako. Welcome to Her Confidence Her Way podcast. I am super excited to have you, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for asking me to be on the show. I'm very excited. I've listened to your show many times, and I'm really, inspired by each episode.
You do? What?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Yes, the reason why I get to know you is through Sakie-san. She is also a podcaster. She does the Uno to Sano.
Yes.
Yeah. So that podcast. Yeah. And it seems like you have a small, a group of friends from, Her Confidence Her Way podcast guest as well. So that's exciting.
Yeah. You saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yuka-san also from your maybe previous episode recently.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's we used to work together in Boston for a little bit. And so, yeah, definitely.
Wow. So you live in Boston. Is there a lot of Japanese people, or is there a big Japanese community in Boston? I've never been there, so I don't know anything about it.
Oh, you should come visit sometime.
I would love to.
Yes. So in Boston, I heard that there are about 10,000 Japanese people living here total. I'm not sure what the ratio of women specifically are within that number, but yeah, there seem to be a lot of also women, also working women in Boston. Yeah, and I was living here for the past 15 years. Wow, that's a long time. Time flies, But then I just moved to Brooklyn, New York as of last month.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, well then tell us more about you.
Yes. So I do many different things, but I've been primarily a musician all my life. I play many instruments, but my principal instrument is piano, keyboards, anything with keyboards really, including accordion these days. So I play a lot. I don't really compose or do my own sort of songs for work, but I do work for other people and play others' music. I also study folkloric music from around the world. These days, especially with focus on the Balkan regions and music of Turkey, things like that. That's sort of my musical project. But besides music, I do many other different things. So I've been working as a freelancer. So including translation and interpretation work, both in English and Japanese. Sometimes I also assist Japanese tourists with, going to museums. Because I used to volunteer as a museum guide at the Isabella Gardner Museum in Boston, which is a beautiful place. If you have not heard of it, it was also founded by a woman. About 100 years ago. So it's one of those female empowerment related places as well in Boston. That got me into these tour guide jobs as well. And then eventually that led me to education field. So now I work a lot with Japanese high school students who come here during their school vacations, like spring break and summer break. And we work with different universities around here. Boston has so many amazing institutions. So we work with many universities and schools and organizations, and we try to empower and inspire Japanese youth by just kind of throwing them into this exciting environment. And so I try to facilitate and also mentor sometimes the high school students. So that's sort of becoming my new focus, empowering youth and also empowering Japanese women as well. So speaking of that, I can also tell you that I've been a leader of a nonprofit chapter called Women in Music. That's the name of the nonprofit organization. It's a US-based organization. It's been around for 30 years. So there's a chapter in Boston, so I got involved in that first, and I've been a co-chair since beginning of this year, last year. And then I started a Japan chapter this January of the same organization, because there's no such organization that exists in Japan to give support for working Japanese women, Japanese speaking women to be exact, in the music industry. So I wanted to create a platform that will connect and inspire and educate women, specifically in that industry, to help. So that's one thing. And sorry, I have so many different things. But,
oh my gosh, tell me more. I'm like already in love with you. Tell me more. What's more? What's out there?
Yeah, so there's a lot of like synergy with what you do and what I do.
Yeah.
So it's really quite exciting.
You have no idea how like warm my heart is right now. I'm like, oh my goodness.
That's flattering. So in Boston, as you said, as we've been talking about, there are a number of Japanese working women, and I wanted to create a platform similarly to what I do with Women in Music, like a new platform where Japanese-speaking women can interact, get to know each other, and just kind of have fun with each other to build that community. Yeah. So me and a friend of mine who already went back to Japan, but her name is Leah Camargo. Amazing women, by the way, doing so many different things. So her and I kind of started this community called Boston Joshikai. Boston Joshikai, some people did that before. It's not like we are the originator of this idea, but we just said, well, we want to just get together with some women and let off some steam some like on the weekends, just getting together with drinks and just have fun. So we went to Gyukaku.
女子会で牛角 Okay.
So 20 women gathered at Gyukaku, and then we just had fun over beer and yakiniku, and it was such a good time that we decided to do this every month. And I've ever since, that was last March, so March 2018. We've been hosting monthly Joshikai events that stands from meeting up at the bar to renting out a whole boat for a
Yeah.
cruise.
Yeah, I saw the
And
picture.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And going to a casino afterwards, or just like a whole bunch of different things
Oh
to get
my
to know each other.
gosh.
So now the
Yeah.
community, yeah. So now what started out with just 20 women from all walks of life, with all different occupations and interests, and also age group as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's grown to over 300 maybe 10 members now. So yeah, it's been quite interesting journey.
Wow. So
Yeah.
how can I dig your story then? That's amazing. Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
Well, those are like the main things. I
Uh-huh.
mean, yeah. So because I'm a freelancer, I have many different
Yeah.
ways. Yeah, and many different perspectives, and
Yeah, but that's the
yeah,
lifestyle that I want to live too. Like, I don't want to necessarily just work for this one company, right?
right,
Like, especially me,
right.
like, I work for corporate, but
Mhm.
I did negotiate with my flexibilities. So, with that said, I could a little bit work on some of my other passion projects, and I also do volunteer. So like I'm just like, I think there's a term in Japanese like parallel career. So
Yes, right.
like
Yeah,
that's exactly what I want to do. I just like I get bored by just doing one thing. And
yeah. Me too. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my goodness. So that makes sense because I was gonna ask you like how long you have been, playing music. It sounds like
Right.
it's this is like part of you. You are doing this for a long time, and I just wanted to know like, is there a time that you wanted to quit or even just give up? Like I don't think this is my thing.
Hmm. So yeah. Well, I started my music career really young and really early.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So when I was 8 years old, I was already on stage performing piano, and so that's it. I've already had like a quarter century
Mm-hmm.
length musical career. So yes, to answer your question, there were times that I certainly wanted to just quit and just put it on the side and see what else is out there, especially for someone who has many interests outside of music
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are like, yes, no music, no life. This is what I want, and I just want to play all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially, I experienced that when I entered Berklee College of Music in Boston back in 2005. I met so many young musicians who were extremely talented to begin with, but also who were just really set on their ways in terms of like intention and passion.
Mm-hmm.
They just wanted to do music 24/7. And I just wasn't that kind of person. I just had other interests as well. I wanted to learn about the world. I wanted to know history. I wanted to know art and language. And it kind of made me question my existence in a music school
Mm-hmm.
because everybody else seemed to be so focused on music.
Yeah.
And so then I went into this sort of identity crisis mode at one point, maybe 2 years into college, and I stopped going to college. Also, I needed to work a little bit too because
Mm-hmm.
U.S. institutions are expensive, even with scholarships. So that both things combined, I was like, well, I'm gonna just take a break and see what happens. And at the time, I was dating somebody from Spain, and he was like, well, do you want to maybe go travel Spain together? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that sounds great. So to expand my perspective, I just went to Spain and just traveled around for a while. And I went to Portugal for a couple of weeks too, and Ireland, and just kind of studied history and music from there, as well as the language. And then, took a break basically from music for a while. And so I don't know if that would be considered like quitting, because I just didn't play for a little bit. Until then, it was every day, just practicing all the time, playing. I was just in it deep. But then I switched my gear. Then thought about it for some time if I should go back to college or not, or
Mm-hmm.
if I should just continue pursuing career in music seriously. Then answer was kind of yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
It was both, because I realized that this is like all me, the musician me also exists, but this kind of art aficionado, that's also me, like there's like a business side of me as well. And so I just in the end decided to switch my major from piano performance to music business and management, to learn a little bit more about the industry and how business works, and also to learn more about art history and philosophy and all these like other gen ed stuff. So so even though I was in music school, I played significantly less for the last 2 years of college, and then ever since then it's been just kind of finding out a good balance between other stuff and music career. And fortunately, I think I'm just really lucky, to have gotten numerous opportunities to travel to different parts of the world and really play in all these venues that I wanted to play at, play with people that I admire so much, and so it's there, but it wasn't just like 100% of my focus. Maybe that's kind of unconventional too.
Wow. It is so, I bet it takes a courage, I guess, to really say, you know what, I'm going to take some break. Don't you think? I feel like we're like almost forced or we're pressured to just continue the path that you decided to choose. But you said, okay, let's pause for a second and just take a break and do something else so that I can come back. Or even if I don't want to come back, that's okay too. Like giving that permission, I think it's huge. Yeah,
I think, well, now it sounds sort of easy to say that, but at that point, which was maybe 10 years ago, I certainly was in the thick of it and was almost depressed.
Right,
I was
of course.
in a blog at the time in Japanese, which no longer exists, but I wrote something like "ondaisei shikkaku," in the title, like borrowing from Dazai Osamu's "ningen shikkaku."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like you can see how depressed I was, sort of. I mean, because nobody else was like me, or it seemed so. So I just didn't feel like I could talk to about this with other musicians who went to same school. And I was just kind of like, okay, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to escape from reality and see what happens. And so I think eventually I just sort of found it, found the answer through the struggle. But certainly wasn't easy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I feel like not very many people are willing to share those dark side or the dark time. Not necessarily dark side, but dark time too. So, because we are so pressured to really like picture this perfect life, even just the social media and everything, like everything has to be not so much perfect, but it's like all the highlights, and people are really avoiding to really be vulnerable and share those moments. So thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. But on the flip side, though, you definitely have really great ups and, all those recognitions. And congrats on receiving is it Berkeley Urban Service Award?
No, right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it seems like you're really great at, just building the community of women, and maybe not just for women, but, people who are in the music industry. And I want to know what kind of like people are part of this group that you're doing. And I also want to know, like, because you are doing this group for women as Japanese women, or is it Japanese women or just Japanese people in general?
Both. I mean, I do many different,
Gotcha. So in general, because this podcast is really focusing on women, do you see any like unique challenges or struggles as a Japanese woman?
Yeah. So I'll go back to the first question, but community building is interesting. I mean, you need to sort of know the place you're in for some time to really understand the whole picture. But because I've been living in Boston for so long, after 10 years or so, you kind of get the idea of who's what, and then Boston Joshikai really, for example, I mean, I have two communities, right? Women in music and Boston Joshikai. Those are two big pillars at this moment. But again, in Boston Joshikai, mainly, I think the majority of people are working, and they are Japanese and English speaking bilingual women identifying, who are looking for networking opportunities, looking to expand their friendship outside of their own niche community. Because, if you go to university or if you work for a specific company, chances are that you only get to meet people within your network.
Yeah.
And, not much more. Like, where do you specifically meet women?
Right.
So, I think the Boston Joshikai has been serving that gap and that needs pretty well. And then, so for women in music as well, we wanted to specifically have an extra layer of common thread, which is that music industry focus, right? So to answer your second question, so this is common for both communities that I sort of run, but the biggest struggle or unique challenge as a Japanese women, specifically in terms of community building, is that this idea of sisterhood, to support each other as women. Maybe you feel this too, but sometimes it's more difficult than it appears. There's a lot of competition, maybe, among.
Yes, thank you for bringing this up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've also experienced this a lot. So that's not the direction I want to bring the community to, of course. But if you just like let all these like women come together and, say, hey, just have fun, like a freestyle, then it doesn't work always.
Right.
You kind of have to like navigate and facilitate as needed to foster that sort of empowering and inspiring atmosphere.
Right.
It doesn't just naturally happen. And and I just haven't really found like an answer to this problem that I sometimes see. Like, how do we actually foster this this sisterhood, I guess, regardless of if it's like a music industry or if it's just people in Boston. There are other networks for like that for men that exist already, especially for business world.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And then why I'm not really completely sure why that's slightly more difficult for women.
And I completely agree.
Yeah, and I mean, to add to that a little bit more, to to run a nonprofit to sort of fight gender inequality in the music industry. This is an interesting idea too, and it's harder to sometimes get support from women in the music industry, even though this is primarily for them, because they've most often internalized this idea of this is how it is in Japanese music industry, or like this is how it is in Japan, So oftentimes I see that they don't even see it as a problem, like certain roles that Japanese women have in the music industry, or so the layer is always, it's like multi-layers, right? So definitely there are all kinds of struggles, but
yes. So I'm actually like writing a book about, it's more like a self-confidence and just having the work life, or living the meaningful and really, fulfilling work life. And then one of the section that I'm writing is about actually sisterhood. And I think that Japanese people should really have a good understanding of what this sisterhood is. And the reason why I'm saying this is actually this hint. I received this hint from my own daughter. So she is now 9 years old. But when I forget, maybe 2 years ago or even before that, when we went to Japan, in Japan, we call like older women お姉さん, right?
Right.
Like, you know, じゃあこっちのお姉さんのところに行ってください or このお姉さんのところに行ってください and then my daughter asked me, why do you call them sister? And then that was like the aha moment for me, like, there's a sisterhood there, but why when we grow up, why do we forget about the sisterhood? Like, it was just crazy. Like, we grew up with the sisterhood. And then, like, all of a sudden, those sister becomes your nasty, I don't know, rival.
Like,
or yeah, exactly. I'm like, what is going on? So, like, I was just writing about this. So, it's kind of funny how, like, you brought that up. It's like, oh, coincidence. But like, we're all sisters. Like, we help each other. Like, not to hate each other or have a cat fight.
You know, I think sometimes this, when you're in America, especially as Japanese women, we are a minority as well. And being a woman, maybe some people feel like we're fighting over the same pie almost, like with similar set of skills, same sets of languages spoken. And so maybe that's why they feel somewhat like, oh, you know, I gotta bring up my game and, you know.
Oh my gosh, so we should be fighting right now, right? Because you're what you're trying to do and what I'm trying to do is very, like, in line. Like, let's have a fight. Like, it's just too silly to me. Like, why can't I just work together to make it a bigger impact? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I think that that takes sort of a practicing self-awareness also, you know, understanding yourself well enough to know where you stand and how different you are from, for example, like how different I am from where you come from. And, you know, your reasoning for wanting to do this is very different from mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then your story is different than mine, and the way how you speak to other women is different than me.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, who knows? Maybe some will be super inspired by your way of bringing these stories to life. Whereas maybe some others may find my story to be, like, interesting, right? So you never know, like, what clicks with who. So I think all these are valid. But we just need to understand that the intention and...
Oh my gosh, I could talk with you like about this topic forever.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
This should be a different session.
Yes, please. But okay, I get it. I think it's I do agree with you about this, like, unique challenge. Although it seems like simple that we should help each other, but somewhat women are still, I don't know, when you're trying to stand out. Like, you know, some people may say, like, oh, she's just too bossy, or, oh, she has no emotion to other people. What's wrong with you, you know? So
I think, one more thing to add to that is that maybe people also need to understand that women are ever so diverse as well. You know, there's no one particular formula for, well, this is like what a Japanese woman is like. Yes. You know, even for appearance as well. I mean, we were talking about this before we started the podcast recording. But, like, I mean, because, you know, you see my headshot, like, I just don't, I guess, look as typical Japanese or something. So a lot of times, like, people, especially men, like, you know, when I first meet them, they're like, wow, like, 日本人に見えないね, like, you know, and then they go on to, like, make up inappropriate comments all the time, which is, like, really annoying.
Oh my gosh. But,
yeah, I mean, that too, you know, like, women, maybe I think this has to do with the role of the media too.
Oh yeah,
a lot
for sure.
Actually, a lot. Yeah, I really have a problem with you know, the way that Japanese media is handling images of images of women and like things like that. There's this much room for improvement, in my opinion. But yeah, going back to that, like, body appearances, how women should behave, and all these things are probably promoted through media, right? And so I think it's so important in whatever community you are in to showcase that diversity of women. Even if we say Japanese speaking women, there are like millions of different types of women.
Such a good point.
That's like, right? I mean, that's why it's sometimes difficult to also come together as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I just got a chill. Because it's like, here in US, they're really working hard on the diversity, right? The diversity and inclusion. And in the States, like, woman doesn't mean just one type of woman. It could be a woman, white, and there's the black and Hispanic and Asian. But within, what do you mean by white? What do you mean by black? What do you mean by Hispanic? What do you mean by Asian? Like, there are so many different colors in there. And it's the same thing for Japanese. Just because we're Japanese, that doesn't mean that we're all like this 女の子らしい女子力のある. I mean, like, I'm totally the opposite. Like, 料理がうまくて, like, no, I...
Exactly. Like, I mean, why? It's just like, but that's, I think, harder to realize for both genders. I mean, or all genders, I mean, the topic is still, I think there's much room for conversations.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I love you so much. We're gonna talk about this thing again.
We're gonna talk about this.
Oh my god. Okay, for sure. But let's just give a spotlight to you again. So what's next? I want to know, like, what are you excited about? Like, what's coming? It seems like you're still hungry. You're still ready to take on more things. Like, what's coming up?
Yeah. So a lot of new things are on the horizon, so to speak, as I just moved to New York. This is my very first out-of-state move that I did on my own, minus the homestay days. Those don't really. I used to live in LA and Florida.
You're in LA too? Awesome.
Yeah, just for a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But this time, so it's a big transition for me. The primary reason for moving is because I got a full-time job offer here, which it's not ready to be discussed yet because it's not finalized. But if it happens, it's really exciting. It's in the field of education. So, and it really aligns with what I want to do. Like what I feel passionate about. So hopefully that will happen.
Congrats.
Very soon. But even without that, there's so much to see and there's so much to learn here in New York. I've thought about this for a long time. I've been thinking about moving here for the last 3 years. Then I sort of traveled back and forth between New York and Boston so often. And I thought, okay, you know what? It is time where I just flip residency and do this thing. So now I commute back and forth again, but, with a house, with an apartment here in New York. It's already so exciting, and I primarily came here to dive further into the Balkan music community. It's really thriving here, so that's like my passion project. I just want to learn new instruments and learn how to play them well, and be in it, more.
How far is Boston and New York?
About 4 hours.
Okay, but maybe. That's 4 hours. That's a travel, like, big time.
I don't really mind that. I love actually traveling, and while traveling, there's something about it that makes my brain think in different ways.
True.
Like that flow. So like I count that also as like a valuable time.
Yeah. 4 hours by train, you mean, or by car?
4 hours. I mean, generally speaking, somewhere between 3.5 to like 5 hours either way with train, bus, car.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like people in New York, like, they don't really talk about the commuting time, like, with car because I think the main... Yeah. Yeah.
Boston too. People don't really need to drive if you live in the city. Yeah, it's really convenient. That's that's the reason why I never considered moving to the West Coast.
Oh my gosh, I was just about to say, I can't even imagine like me living in the other side of the state.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
mean, like
great.
I do so many things in the car.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, you
it's
understand totally.
yeah, it's like my me time. Like, you know, there was some times that I would just like cry like crazy. Like after, let's say, I have a fight with my husband, or I have a big old war with my kids, you know, and then like I was being like really strict, or I said something that I shouldn't have been saying, and I'm like, I can't believe I
Yeah, right.
said. Yeah, so that's like one way. Or I sometimes do
Yeah.
makeups if I didn't have a chance to do the makeup, or I will eat. When I
So many
yeah, when I was
different.
when my kids are little, I used to nurse my kids. I didn't nurse in the car, but I would pump. I don't know if you know pump machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like, you know, because when I'm at work, I have to pump so that I can provide milk for my baby and save milk. So I had a like 1 hour and 40 minutes commute. So I would use that time for pumping time too. And people are like, wait, what? You drive and pump at the same time? Like, how do you do it? So like I was like a really famous person for pumping and driving at work for a while. But yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I do so many things. Or like I sometimes join a call, like conference call for work and stuff too. So
Right.
I can't imagine being in the car. There's none of them I can do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
amazing thing about human being is that we adjust to the environment pretty quickly,
true.
no matter what.
Yeah,
So,
true.
when I moved here to the United States and I visited New York at that time in 2005, my first reaction was, "Wow, I would never live here. This is crazy,"
Uh-huh.
And then here I am, so many years later,
Yeah,
just
15.
totally excited.
Yeah,
Yeah, to
15
be
years.
here,
That's
15 years later.
crazy. Yeah.
So,
Wow. Well, I am just super excited for like everything that's coming to you.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what is there? Sorry, I completely just like butched your conversation talking about my
It's
pumping
okay.
in the car.
No, that's also important too, and interesting for listeners too to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've never talked
Um,
about it.
well, then there was a chance.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, also for Boston Joskai too. Since I moved here, I'm trying to sort of pass on the baton, and there is an admin team of 6 to 7 women, fantastic, powerful women who are eager and willing to do more with Boston Joskai, and there is a talk of maybe establishing a different section of Joskai. I mean, we've already been hosting more educational seminars and workshops, things like that, besides just a nomikai,
True. Yeah,
Nomikai is also important
it's
because you
important.
just always be like rigid and
Yeah.
exchanging business cards with each
Yeah.
other. That's not the way to build a rapport.
Yeah.
You gotta take that off sometimes. And just be like, hey, so what do you like to do?
Yeah.
Just enjoy food together. So
Yeah.
that's important. I think it's the balance that's needed. So this is just in discussion right now, but it might become like a nonprofit. And then Boston Joskai will just remain as a platform, like a more casual platform where we'll just have monthly meetups as usual. But I think the format will certainly change in the coming few months.
Yeah.
So that's something else that I'm quite excited for.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. And I think I am super ready to get more power from you. Are you ready to answer some of the Her Confidence, Her Way Power questions?
Yes.
Okay. So the first question, you can answer this either in Japanese or in English, whichever you want to. How would you define your own confidence, and how are you building your own?
So my own confidence is, I think it comes from knowing yourself well enough. We talked about it, like know thyself. It's an old saying, but it really is true. It's the best way to combat sort of comparing yourself to others and like feeling diminished or even fighting imposter syndrome. It's just knowing where you've been, knowing what you've done, just self-awareness. I think it serves me really well as a solid pillar in my life. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite questions. Well, actually, these are all the questions I like to ask. But what is your gifted talent, and how are you using it?
Yeah. So I would say there are several, but probably my unconventionality, unique sets of experiences. It serves me really well, especially in the Japanese workplace. Because I bring in a fresh set of perspectives to table. So they were like, wow, there is somebody like you from Hinaka, like of Japan, that somehow work in Boston, New York as a freelance. Like, how does that happen? People scratch their heads. But so that always serves me well. And my independence serves me well as well. And then attention to detail. And I observe minor details quite well. So that serves me well in terms of educating youth, especially managing big crowd. I'm good at assessing what is going on from afar. So overall.
Amazing. And let me ask you about your ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese concept that means a reason for being. So I want to know what excites you, or what is your reason to jump out of bed each morning?
Yeah, great question. So 日本語だと学びですかね。
学び。
Yeah, so I love to learn. It really is my passion. It's my one word, like philomath, lover of learning. That's it. That's the only reason that I it's my number one motivation to keep me and to keep going. I'm just curious, I want to understand the world, and I want to understand what humanity is. I want to understand what it is that we do, and why we do what we do, and there's so many different things. And the more I learn, the more I know that I don't know. There's this constant circle. So this curiosity drives me forward. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Well, this is the last question. What would you like to say to women who are listening to this podcast, who are wanting to live a purposeful and meaningful life with confidence? What kind of advice would you like to give?
Yeah. So if you are not sure, maybe yet, of what it is that you want to do in your life, sometimes this is common for younger generations. I often say, so maybe find out what moves you, pay attention to your emotion a little bit more. Elizabeth Gilbert, the author,
amazing.
Very long, she also says in her book, Big Magic, amazing book, by the way, for anyone, even non-creative industry. Whoever, it's great. So she said similar things. Like instead of following passion, passion is like a big word. Maybe pay attention to your curiosity and what intrigues you every morning or every day, every moment. Like what moves you, what takes your attention. Like what is that? And then what's that word? Like define that word. Is that joy? Is that surprising? Like what? Just like trying to understand your inner workings, and I think that will serve you as a compass to find out more about maybe your ikigai, like why you want to do what you want to do, and just like kind of the direction. So that's one way of maybe how to do it, and just in general, just do it. If you have something you are curious about, you want to meet somebody, or do you want to you want to try out something completely new, whatever it is, I think at the end of the day, doing it is important.
Yes.
Rather than just thinking it or
Yeah, thinking is not going to give you a clarity. By doing, you will know exactly what it is that you actually like it or don't like it, or what is it that you actually want to do more. So that's amazing. And I love how you talk about the passion. I think so many people say like, oh, follow your passion, but I don't think that's the right word, because passion isn't something that is hiding. It's more like, I think you develop it, right? So like you pay attention and you kind of notice like, wow, this gives me joy. And I want to do more and more and more. And that becomes your passion.
Yeah. And to go back to like the previous point too, to find out your ikigai or maybe like your one word, that that's important, but that also takes a lot of work.
For sure.
And self-awareness. So if you haven't done that to any of, I mean, I'm just saying to the listener, it might be fun to write down some keywords that are important for you. Then from there, maybe try to define what it is, like that. Yeah. So that process itself, and then it's the constant upgrading. It's not just like, okay, this is it. Maybe sometimes you reach that conclusion. Yeah. But it's okay to change, and it's okay to... Oh my
gosh, thank you for saying that. Yeah. Nothing is final. Just because you do it, that doesn't mean this is the final thing that you have to do this forever. I mean, if it's that's something that you want to do forever, that's great. But hey, we're human beings. Life happens. Amazing. Sister, I think we share the same heart.
I think so, yeah. Really.
Oh my gosh.
Fantastic. I mean, I knew that though because I've listened to your podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Before. So
Thank you.
I know we're gonna have a good time, and I hope to actually meet you in person sometime.
Yes.
If you ever come to New York or Boston.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I'm just already having a hard time trying to go to Japan. Like, like airplane ticket is so expensive. I don't know about, flying from East Coast to Japan. I'm not sure, but having 2 kids.
Yeah, it is expensive. Yeah.
I just can I just go by myself and just leave kids with my husband? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. But wouldn't it be great if you can have your East Coast chapter and the West Coast chapter, and then maybe in the middle or maybe in the East or West, all the Japanese women can just meet.
Yeah.
That would be amazing too.
I think that's sort of the idea, right? And then similar-minded people are here and there. They exist.
Yes. So, and then we don't have to do this all alone. If you can find someone, then why not work together? Well, that's my philosophy, the whole sisterhood. But some people are not willing to give that. I don't know.
Yeah,
control.
Yeah. Then again, we are actually doing it. We like a famous author, Brené Brown, her?
Yeah. For sure.
I love her work.
Whatever that you read, maybe I might be reading too. So.
Right. So in her latest talks, she talks about that. It's important to actually be in the arena, like Theodore Roosevelt said. So as long as they are in the arena doing their own thing, and then I think that's worth paying attention to, and to exchange opinions. But otherwise, we don't really need to pay attention. It's just I think that's just なんていうの、外野のね、声っていうか。
Yeah, I completely agree. So where can the listeners find you?
Oh yeah, they can find me on Instagram. It's just my name, Hinako Sato, all in one word. Same thing for Twitter. I use Twitter only in Japanese most of the time. Yeah. And then on Facebook, just I have a website too, but mostly active on Insta and Twitter.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories and your passion and everything you got. I really appreciate your time, and I'm pretty sure my listeners enjoyed your story. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
There you have it. I hope you had enjoyed my conversation with Hinako. What do you think? We are very similar, right? and I love it. And I talked about this in the newsletter, but many people say or ask me, hey, aren't you worried if you introduce someone and someone takes over your followers or listeners? And my answer is no. No, I don't worry at all, because we're all different. We serve in a different way. The way how Hinako serves is different than how I serve. And that's because I am very, very, very confident with who I am, how original and unique I am, and I also, of course, understand what my gifted talent is. So it is okay. We all can work together. We don't need to feel like, oh, she is doing something similar, so we shouldn't be talking to each other. Like we should be, we're the competitor or whatever. No, I am totally collaboration type of girl. Collaborate over compete, or collaboration over competition. So it's very important. Make sure you have that mindset. If you are scared of, I don't know, someone taking over or whatnot, you're never going to be able to feel that, you are good enough or you're enough, because you're always looking for something else outside. So let's work on your inner work. That's very important. And again, Hinako mentioned this too. By doing is the only way that we can move forward. And I love how she does so many different things. And I'm not telling you to do a lot, but just do things that is passionate about. We talked about passion, and I know it's hard to find or like discover a passion, but discovering passion isn't really a word. I think you want to develop your passion. So pay attention to things that you do that makes you feel like you're so like in line with what your value is, or that makes you feel like you just want to do it forever, whatever that makes you joy, satisfaction. Those are the sign. Those are the signs. So pay attention to that, and then do more of those things. And then from there, you are going to grow your passion out of it. Trust me on this. Because I did the same thing. Definitely talking to like podcasts. This is one of my passion too. It's so fun, and I am so thankful that I get to do this as a job. I don't feel like this is my job, and I definitely take this as a very serious job, not just a hobby, because this is the way how I can spread my message, and this is the way how I can impact and touch your lives, and that is one of my ikigai. So it's so important to me. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Lastly, I just wanted to quickly share a message from Hinako. She is looking for someone who can be a best fit for her team. So listen up. Okay, so you're talking about the Women Music Japan. Okay, so tell us more about it.
Yes. So it's still a chapter in formation period as of now, and we try to create a platform where women who are in the music industry in Japan specifically, whether it be composers or performers or people on the industry side, can gather to learn about each other and to empower each other, to inspire, to elevate, advance their positions in Japanese music industry together. So we are currently looking for 2 more committee members to join our team.
Do they have to speak English or?
Preferably, yes.
Okay.
Because some of our committee members are English speaking. Yeah. So, and then to communicate with the headquarters and stuff like that, we do use English. So, yeah, primarily Japanese and English speaking women. And you don't have to necessarily be located in Japan all the time. Like I'm in New York based, and I'm still running this. And so there's a lot of things that you can do even remotely to get involved.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if you are passionate about music, and if you are passionate about female empowerment and just want to learn a little bit more about women in music Japan, we have a Facebook page. So literally just search Women in Music Japan and it should come up. And we have different interview series to feature diverse workforce in in the music industry, especially for Japanese and English speaking women. You can read about them, and just to get to know our organization. And you can write to us from Facebook page, or you can write to me. My email is hsato@womeninmusic.org. So hsato@womeninmusic.org. So looking forward to hearing from somebody. If you have a reference, Cheers.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. That is all for today. Remember, you are enough. And I want you to believe in yourself, because if you can't believe yourself, and who will? You have done so many things, and you have overcame so many struggles, walls, difficulties, whatever that is. So you are stronger than who you think you are. Take care of yourself. Don't limit yourself. I love you so much, and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.